Hey everyone, Marguerite from the DIY Duo, and today we are making apple pie. We had gone apple picking weeks ago, and the apples are starting to get a little like, eh. So, time to make apple pies before they go bad. And I'm making two because my brother asked for one and John wants the other. So, I'm starting with a simple pie crust, but I will let you know I had already diced the apples. There's probably about 14 apples in here, and there's all sorts of discussion on what's the right apples to use in an apple pie. And my feeling is this: I am not a baker, I am not a chef, I am not professionally trained, but go with the apples you like. I've never had a bad apple pie, and I've made apple pie with all different types of apples. Sometimes I've gone Granny Smith, sometimes I've gone Golden Delicious, sometimes I've done Brayburn. Sometimes I went looking for the ones that the chefs all recommend and have a hard time finding them. This time it's pretty much all Golden Delicious apples, and they are one of my favorite apples to eat. That's what I'm using this time. Again, other people will have, possibly take issue with it. Make apple pie with apples that you feel like you should be making apple pie with. But we're starting with the crust. And so in my bowls here are 2.5 cups of flour. I am going to add to each one of them a teaspoon of sea salt and a tablespoon of sugar. And if you've seen any of my videos before, this is sugar that had gone really, really hard. And I just put it in the food processor and brought it back down to nice soft sugar again. And I am going to mix it also with a cup of cubed butter, which is what you see out here. And again, some people tell you mix it in a food processor and pulse it. I'm going to use my fingers. I'm kind of a simple soul when it comes to that. So that's what's happening next. So let me get my teaspoon out. And I actually just took out 3/4 because usually when I work with this, it kind of goes a little overboard anyway. And we're good with the, okay. Now, tablespoon of sugar. If you've also seen my videos before, you know when I bake, I don't throw away any of my vanilla pods. I stick them in the sugar to get some vanilla flavor to the sugar. We let nothing go to waste here. Okay, I'm going to give both a quick stir. And I'll just start with one. Let me bring this into the forefront. Again, I apologize, everybody. I know that I've received some comments on why can't I put the camera in front of me so that people can better see what I'm doing and you're not seeing the side of me or the back of me. But I have a very narrow galley kitchen, and there's so many, there's only so many places that I could put this camera. And I found this to be, I guess, the best place. It's not the greatest, but I hope you can bear with me. I am sorry about that. Again, just putting the cubes in. I cubed this. I think I let this, it should be a little colder. It's a lot easier to work with when it's a little colder. Now the cubes are sticking together because I let it sit for too long. But it's okay. In the end, we're going to have a great pie crust. Trust me. So, let me just show you how I start to work this. And it's literally just pinch. Will the food processor do it a lot faster? Yes. But a lot of times the food processor will over process the dough And then that's when you just get a not so flaky pie crust. This allows you to keep like little swirly chunks of butter. You'll see what I'm talking about when we're ready to roll this out. In the dough, and it just helps the dough not to be overworked and get tough. And basically what you want to do is you want to like pinch it through your fingers. You want to start to turn this into like rough sand, if you will. That's what you want to get this to. And yes, it's going to take a while. And I'm going to fast forward pretty shortly. This is good enough. We're going to move on to the next one, and then I'll show you next step. Miss Athena, you need to get up. Thank you. All right, second one is done. Now, next up, very important, ice water. Very, very important. And secret ingredient for me, a little bit of apple cider vinegar. So we need about 6 to 8 tablespoons of ice water, but you don't want to go and put all 6 to 8 in at once. So I'm going to go 3, and we're going to work one at a time, obviously. I'm going to go 3, and again, I'm going to use my hands. And you don't want to be pinching this time around. You don't want to be squeezing and rolling things in your fingers. You really want to be gentle, because again, you don't want to make this a tough crust. You want to make this a soft, flaky crust. So you just start to incorporate the water in here. And the apple cider vinegar, I don't know why it works, but it does. Helps to make the crust a little flakier, but you don't want to put a lot in because you don't want a sour tasting crust. So I'm really only going to put in about a little less than like 2 teaspoons really is all I'm going to put in. Incorporate. See, it's starting to come together. Can you see? It's starting to come together. So now, what happens if you put too much water in and it becomes pasty? Because you don't want it to be pasty. As a matter of fact, this is looking quite fine to me. I don't think, if you see that you are now creating this ball for the most part, and you don't have the crust really sticking to your fingers anymore, you're ready. And again, I'm going to roll it into a ball, and I'm going to see if I can find some of the, I don't know if it's going to come through, but do you see like swirly lines of butter? That's what you want. You don't want to over process the dough at all. And now what I'm going to do is, they tell you to cut it in half so that you have a top and a bottom crust. But I don't agree with that, because in a pie plate, you need more crust for the bottom than you need for the top. So I kind of go 2/3, 1/3 when I break it up. Again, this is homemade, so do you need a perfect crust? I mean, maybe, but okay. I'm gonna put this aside for now. I'm gonna work on the next one. We have somebody, we have a hey, get your face out. We have a visitor. You have to get down. I know you want to say hi to everybody, but you have to get down. Okay, we're going to do the same thing. I'm going to do 2/3, 1/3. All right. Okay, we're going to flatten these into discs as the next step, and then they have to be refrigerated for about an hour. But pardon me, I'm going to have to clean the counter now that our friend over here has come up before we do anything else. I'm going to clean the counter, so I'll be right back. Okay, we've wiped the counter of paw prints, and now we're just going to flatten into a disc. Who else hates the fact that cling wrap clings probably better to itself than anything you put it on? Let's see. Let's see if it's going to behave for me. Okay, here we go. We found the edge. Okay. One. Oh, here's some nice striping going on. Let's see if you can see it this way. Can you see the nice striping of butter going on around here? That's what you want. Okay. One set done. Okay, both are done. In the fridge they go for an hour, and now we will start on our apples. And as I said, I had peeled probably a good 14 apples a while ago, and as you can see, they still kept their color. And you want to know why? It is because I used the juice of one fresh lemon and sprinkled it on these apples so that they would keep their coloring and they wouldn't get brown while I was working on the crusts. So I'm going to split these in half. I washed my other bowl. I'm going to say this is about half. Let's eyeball it. Let's eyeball it and be fair. Okay. I would say that's half. Ooh. I I see a pit from one of the lemons that I used. Let me take that out. Okay. And next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the seasoning. And so that ends up being 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, and about 1/8 teaspoon of nutmeg. However, I like fresh nutmeg, and so I have a fresh nutmeg here, and I'm going to grind it with my little handy dandy grinder. And a little goes a long way when we're talking fresh nutmeg. That's all I need. And let me stir this around. Oh my God, it already smells awesome. It smells like a Christmas candle in here. I love it. Athena, why are you barking? Come here. What's the matter? Tell me. Come tell me. What's the matter? You're a good girl. You're my good girl. All right, we're ready to put this in. And then we have to do it to the other one. All right, give this a stir. Make sure all of our apples get, oh my God, it smells so good. It smells nice and coated. Okay, nice and coated. Okay. We're going to put this aside. We're going to put all of this away. And we are going to get started on rolling out our pie crust. Okay, showtime, assembly. Let's get it together. We are going to need to flour the surface. I have my pie plates right over here. All right. We want to start with the bottom, so the bigger disc. Piece itself. Okay. What I like to do is pretty much go in different directions to try and maintain the circular shape, because if you keep going in only one direction, you kind of square it off, it loses its roundness. This is my technique. I have never gone to baking school, never had a cooking class, just basically watching the old folks in the family cook and make pies, dinners, desserts, you name it. What you want to make sure is an even crust. So you don't want to start thinning out on one side. You want to make sure that you maintain sort of the integrity of the crust. pretty soon. I'm going to have to probably flip it again. Aha, look at that. I had a piece of crust stick to this. Let me do this. So that doesn't happen again. You know what? I'm not going to flip it. I'm just going to finish rolling it out here. And I'm starting to think that this is big enough. Like I said, making sure that there's no difference in thickness. See, as you can see, this is going to go up the sides nicely, and I can trim off any excess. So, what I like to do is actually fold it into quadrants. Let's see. This is quite the delicate crust. So be very careful that you don't break it as you do this. And that's why I fold it into quadrants, because I think it's just a lot easier to pick up, put in the plate. So I kind of look for the halfway mark of the plate and then unfold it. Beautiful. Okay. You know what I want to show you that I do also? Flour at the bottom. And some cornstarch. I have a dog right next to me, so I have to be pretty careful. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to mix the cornstarch in here. So when the apples bake, and again, there's school of thought on you're supposed to cook your apples a little bit, render the juices down. I don't know. To me, that makes for a pretty mushy pie. I like actually some depth to my apples in my apple pie, so I don't cook my apples first. Is somebody right and somebody wrong? No. All right. Okay, I'm gonna stick all my apples in here, and you can see there's a lot of juice, so that is why we put a little flour on the bottom. That's why we put cornstarch mixed in with the apples, because hopefully it thickens it a little bit, and I'm gonna add more to the top. And hopefully that makes a nice sort of gel-like consistency among the apples, without it having like an off taste because of the cornstarch and the flour. So now I'm going to put more flour on the top. This looks fabulous, by the way. I do say so myself. Okay. Let's do a little more flour. Okay. I'm going to put this away in the sink. This is going to go off to the side. Now it's time to do the smaller, the top piece. Obviously, we're not going to have to roll it out as large as the last one. It's not going to roll out as large as the last one because it isn't as big as the last one, intentionally. This might do it. This just might do it. Okay. Let's do it again. Very gently. We're going to fold it over. We're going to fold it over again. This over here. Let's bring this back a little closer. I want to make sure you can still see what I'm doing. Okay. Now I'm going to take it and we're going to fold it over. And there it is. Perfect. So now we're just going to remove some of this excess. Do it with my scissors. If we really wanted to get crazy. We can make little shapes with it if we wanted to. I don't think we're going to get crazy like that. And we're just going to start to fold the crust over. And if I cut too much off of a piece, we've got plenty to back. Again, this is homemade. It's not supposed to look store-made. We can get crazy if we wanted to. And I think if I was probably bringing it to someone's house, I'd get a little bit more neurotic over how it looks, crust-wise. Like here, I can put some more. Now, just going to, again, we don't want to futz with the crust too much, because futzing with the crust too much makes a chewy crust instead of a flaky crust. So resist the urge to perfect your crust and play with it too much. Okay. Now, if we want, I mean, we could be fancy. We could do fork or spoon. Where's my teaspoon? We could do like a little fancy kind of we could pinch. We could do pinches. So if we wanted to do like a little pinching, we can do that. I'm going to put that off to the side, and I'm going to do exactly what you saw for the next pie. Okay, the other pie crust is made. This one I decided to just do little, fork tines all the way around. Now it is the finishing touch, which is an egg wash at the top, which is actually going to seal the crust. So let's take care of that. We're just going to thin it out with a little bit of water. Just a little bit. Good. Okay, I have a silicone brush. And I'm just going to make sure that as I put the egg wash on, that I'm really going to seal the crust. All right, I would say that this is sealed. What I'm going to do now is we want to definitely make a hole to let the steam escape, and we'll do slits. And then the last thing I like to do is finish off the top with a little bit of turbinado sugar. It's got a beautiful color to it. It's got a beautiful texture to it. Wonderful taste, of course. Sugar always tastes great. Okay. And this one's done. In the meantime, I have the oven on at 400 degrees. So it'll come up to temperature by the time I'm done with these two, and they'll be ready to go in the oven. So they're going to go in the oven now. It's a 400 degree oven. Let me make sure it's up to temperature. 400 degrees for 20 minutes. After 20 minutes, I'm going to reduce it to I'm pretty sure it's 375, but I will double check. And give it another 20 minutes, half hour tops. I want a nice light brown crust on the top. Okay, we are at temperature. And again, 400 for the first 20 minutes and then 350 for the next 20 minutes to a half an hour. So we'll be back in 20 minutes to lower the temperature. Okay, we're getting close. I had already lowered the temperature to 350 about 10 minutes ago and switched where my pies were because my oven is not, doesn't really evenly heat. And so I wanted to make sure that both pies get sort of like an even crust. And then I wanted to check on them in 10 minutes to make sure that they don't start to get too dark on me. And they look good. I think what I'm going to do is grab some aluminum foil and put it over the tops because I think that they look, they're about the color that I like them to be. So I don't want them to darken anymore. So I'm going to put aluminum foil on top and I'm going to let it cook for another 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, one more check and pretty much just 10 minutes left if I like what I see. This is getting dark already. This one too. You know what? I'm going to turn it off because it takes a while, obviously, for the temp to go down anyway. So I'll just let it sit in the oven for another 10 minutes before taking it out. But I am pretty satisfied with how the crusts look. I don't want them any darker, really, so. Okay, time to take the apple pies out of the oven. So I will bring them to you. Fabulous, Miss Athena. Can you get out of the way, Miss Athena? Look at that. There's one. Oh my goodness. Watch out, please. Watch out, please. And here's the other. All right, they need to cool. These will be ready to eat tomorrow. Do you see them? Okay, here they are. As best I can put them for you. Let's see if I can move this over a little bit. All right. That's it. Apple pie. We'll try it tomorrow. I'll let you know how they come out. All right, John, you got friends here hoping that you're going to share some apple pie with them.
No, I'm not.
All right, tell me how it came out.
It smells marvelous.
It does smell good. Yeah?
Very good.
Awesome.